Welcome, family and friends. For the Family Movie Reviews is a YouTube channel dedicated to reviewing all the latest movies and your requested movie reviews focused on grading and disclosing the content and how appropriate it is for children. We simply want to provide full disclosure and transparency around the movies and what content is in the movies for you to make a wise decision. Let's get right to the video. So today we're talking about The Northman. The Northman is a movie released April 22nd, 2022. It's a movie about a Viking prince who sets out on a quest to avenge the murder of his father. It's based on Norse mythology. The main character is played by Alexander Skarsgard. So let's get into the content. So this was rated R. It was rated R by the MPA for strong bloody violence, some sexual content, and nudity. So this is a very strong R-rated movie. The sex and nudity content. So a nude man, nude woman lie on the ground on a forest having sex. We see thrusting and the man's bare back, buttocks, and legs, and the woman's legs intertwined having sex. A nude man and a nude woman having sex together, and we see brief thrusting there also. Nude man also in the water. We see the shoulders, chest, upper part, and a nude woman climbs into the water, and a glimpse of her legs from behind. They hug and kiss, and sex is implied. Nude man and women running through the forest, and some more nudity there and sex being implied. So a lot of that. A man keeps a woman from a collection of captured people, and it is implied that he will use her for sex as a sex slave. After the village is overrun, the attackers take women to a hut where they're presumably raped by the men attacking the village. A woman kisses her adult son on the lips, sexually, that is, and the husband and wife kiss, and the woman invites the man to bed. He declines. Women and men are dancing, and a jester type person jokes about the woman sharing her goblet of wine with a man other than her husband, and waves part of his belt that is resembling something sexual, right? A woman's also dressed by attendants. We see briefly bare side of her hips and her side, and as her son enters the room, she scolds him. And then there's lots of other men and women, nude implied, barely clothed, nude and shown the backside, their bare back and buttocks are shown. So that's the sex category. Quite strong for what you'd see from movies that are released theatrically. Very serious R, NC-17 movies that would never make it to a theater. And now the violence category. So this is where we get into even more of the content, because it's a Viking action movie, right? So several men are wearing animal pelts, carrying axes, lots and lots of hand-to-hand combat, bladed weapon combat, slashing, hacking men. We see violence, gore, lots of blood, splurting blood out of throats and sides and torsos, blood gushing, blood pools. Man stabs another man laying in bed. We see the graphic details of swords, torsos, heads, those types of things. Two fully nude men fight with swords and jump over lava, stab each other in the chest. Village is overrun. Men are pillaging villages, setting fire to the huts, attacking everyone, and then gathering the women, presumably raped. Man stands in the forest with his young son. The man is shot in the back with several arrows. Lots of violence-related yelling and screaming. That's quite graphic. Enemies searching for the boy, commanding him, kill him, bring me the boy's head, things like that. Quite graphic for small children. A man hanged from the feet. We see him dangling. A ship is caught in rough seas. Scary scenes there. A woman wearing a dressing gown is carried over the shoulder of men, and other men talking about being the dead king's wife. A man with abdominal wound enters a barn. His intestines slosh out of his body and onto the floor with a pool of blood, and he collapses. Horses also, blood and injuries with the horses as they're fighting. So anyway, we could go on and on, scene after scene. It's a lot of the movie, right? Is very graphic violence. There's two kinds of violence scenes. There's very bloody, gruesome, which gives R-rated movies ratings, or the lightened down with very little blood, the very watered down violence scenes, which is the PG-13 category for action movies. So language, there is actually quite light on language. They could have thrown in F words in there, but they didn't. So there are no F words. There are various obscenities, not too much even, maybe 10. Yeah, about 10 to 15 mild obsceneries. This trollish, coward, sorcery, savages, swine, demon, bastard, berserker, savages, those types of things. A couple religious exclamations, Christian swine. People talk about their Christian god being nailed to a tree, and so on. And that's language. It's actually quite light, surprisingly, on language. Substance, there's nothing other than men will eat soup with mushrooms, and the mushrooms are implied that they hallucinate from this mushroom soup. So that's the topics, both language and substance. So the topics discussed here are revenge, murder, honor, fate, Viking mythology, human sacrifice, family ties, and revenge. So that's the Northman. Before we go into the final verdict and the For the Family score, let's talk about the Rotten Tomato score. So Rotten Tomato score was pretty solid. The critics rated it actually better than the audience. It's always interesting to see how the audience and critic scores relate, but this one was actually higher for the critics. The critics rated it at 89%, quite high. Whereas the audience, with over 2,500 verified reviews, rated this at a 64%. So this movie is interesting. If Viking movies appeal to you, this will be a good movie for you. Maybe not your favorite, but this will be solid if you're okay with the violence and if you appeal with the Viking action type movies. I personally wouldn't let my children watch it, but my opinions don't matter, yours do. So let's get into the final verdict. The final rating for this, I would give a solid 9 out of 10, with the violence being the main factor there. The violence, a lot of the nude bodies being shown and sex implications. This is a 9 out of 10 with all the violence involved. If you don't weigh violence heavily, then this would be lower than a 9, but that's personally what I would rate it. For the Family score of 9. Thank you. So that's all. Please like and subscribe to support us and tell all your friends. God bless you and your family.